Chop It Up with attorney Linda Bernard, also Police Commissioner Linda Bernard. It's a great day to be here in Detroit on WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest television station in the world. You can watch us, listen to us, follow us, subscribe to us on any and all social media platforms: YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all of the above, Facebook. So today I'm extremely pleased to see a big fella in front of me. Now, I just want you to know I've always liked big fellas, and this is a special big fella. This is Mr. Larry Lee, renowned Detroit Lion. I even wore my jersey. It's not his number, but I wore it anyway because of Detroit Lions. And beyond that, he is an extraordinarily gifted and talented musician, as well as community leader. Larry Lee, L to the second power. How are you today?
I am good, Linda. Good seeing you. I haven't seen you in a minute.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. You're all
Thanks for having
skinny
me
as
on.
you're so skinny and stuff now. I mean, I don't even know you. I mean,
The older you get, you got to get some of this weight off. Just trying to be around a long time.
I heard that people in Michigan. Well, you've been in the news for many years, both as an athlete and then, of course, as an artist, and as I said, as a leader. Why don't we start at the beginning with the Larry Lee story? Where are you born?
I'm originally born and raised in Dayton, Ohio.
Okay, right up the street.
Right down the street, and I grew up in Dayton, Ohio, and I went from high school there on a football scholarship to UCLA, and I went out west to California and played my college football at UCLA. I graduated from there, and that's how I ended up in Detroit. The Lions drafted me in 1981, and I played my first 5 years in the NFL here with the Lions, and then I went on to the Miami Dolphins for 2 years, and then the Denver Broncos for 2 years, in which we went to the Super Bowl. We lost, but we went to the Super Bowl. But that's a quick synopsis of Larry Lee. Dayton, Ohio, to Los Angeles to Detroit. Now I've been in Detroit, made Detroit home for the past 40 years, and
Okay.
Detroit's been good to me. Great city. Love Detroit. I've been I'm probably more so a Detroiter than a Dayton, Ohio boy.
I'd say so. I mean, the whole city knows who you are, and the whole state as well. You mentioned that you went to a school, of course, in California. UCLA, you said.
Yes.
Right. I think that Mel Farr went to UCLA as well.
Yes, Mel recruited me out of high school. When I was a senior in high school, UCLA was recruiting me, and I guess
Wow.
with Detroit being so close to Dayton, Ohio, they sicked Mel on me.
Right.
And Mel came down along with Coach Terry Donahue and Jed Hughes, the out-of-state recruiter, and they talked to me, and half the battle was already done because I had an older brother who lives out there. And so our dad was kind of sick, so we were going to get our mom and dad out of the winters and move to California. So my UCLA experience was going to just be one of the moves that we made to help get the family out there. So, but my father eventually passed away right after I signed to go to UCLA. And I just stuck with the decision. Unlike nowadays, these kids get to go in the transfer portal and move and groove and all that if things don't work out. So I stuck with it, and I'm glad I did. What a great school. What a great when I say I graduated from UCLA, people go, ooh,
Right, they do.
like that. So and it's a top academic institution now. It
Absolutely.
always has been, but.
They're getting ready to be in the Big Ten, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's
We're getting
be
ready to say some real football now. Real
That's going to be
football.
great seeing USC and UCLA come back here. I can go to Ann Arbor and see UCLA, or go to Columbus and
Or go up
see
to
UCLA.
Lansing.
Or go up to Lansing. That's right. Yeah. So I get to see my Bruins back this way.
That's true. It's interesting we're talking about UCLA. It reminds me of a story that Mel Farr told me. Mel, of course, as you know, was from Texas, that little bitty town down there. I forgot the name of it. But
Yeah.
anyway, he said he got there, and he said there would be, after your games and everything, the players are expected to come in and be with the boosters, the people who support the team, because they want to attaboy, and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And he said, Linda, I've never seen anything like it. He said it was true for me, for OJ, for everybody. He said, every girl in the room is white. He said all of the boosters, they want their niece, their daughter, their somebody to latch on to a football player, especially if you're a star like you were, like Mel was. Then they really are on you. Like he said, black women didn't have a chance. There wasn't a black girl in the room.
Well, you know, I think times have changed from Mel's UCLA to my days. Now, what was funny, most recently, when I was there, it seemed like we had a ton of African Americans at UCLA. It was because of affirmative action.
Right.
We were a small but tight unit, but there were so many of us, and we were so close. We assumed that we were probably half of the university, in which we were nowhere near that, right?
Not even close, right?
But you know, and the other thing about my UCLA days was the sports out there was great. You know, the track team, Jackie Joyner Kersey, Flojo, Evelyn Ashford, Greg Foster. Our track teams were unbelievable. And we all were buddies. We go roller skating every Thursday. We go out
there. You
there.
roller skate.
I used to. I used to skate with the best of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do the spins, turn around, dance.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, I used to take pride on being a big guy that could do anything a little guy could do.
Okay.
That was kind of my.
I like that thought.
My pride. Yeah.
I like that thought. I think Shaquille has that
He's
thought
got
too.
he has
he
has
likes
that
to dance.
mindset.
He does the stuff that the little guys could do.
That's right. He has that mindset. I was kind of like Shaquille-ish.
Okay. That's a new word.
That's a new word.
Right here on WJZZ Cool TV, Larry Lee has created a new word, Shaquille-ish.
Shaquille-ish.
That's when you're a big guy, but you can do all the stuff that the little guy can do.
That's right. Shaquille-ish. Hey, we might have to patent that.
I agree with you. I like it. We should. Yeah. That's a good idea.
He'll want his cut though.
I'm sure he will. He'll come in. Right. Right. I know you watch him on sports all the time. On the channels
I like
and
the
everything.
big fella.
Yeah. I do too. I've met him, and he's a wonderful dancer.
Yeah.
He dances up. He's really cool. He really can do stuff that little guys can do. Just like you said. Just like you can.
That's where I tried to be. Known to be. All my college buddies, I'd be in the middle of the dance floor. I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi, so I kept the parties going, and I was fun-loving guy, great personality kind of guy. Yeah.
What did you study while you were in college?
U.S. history.
Okay, me too. I'm a big history person.
Yeah, I am too. I got my degree. Actually, I'll tell the truth. I got my degree in that because my freshman year I took all these introductory courses. And I got like C's, and I got like a B+ in history. I said, okay, this might be the easiest path to a degree. So I did that.
Well, that's wonderful. I like history. There's so much history that's going on right now. But back to you and your history. So you were in the league, what, 11 years? About
9.
9 years. Okay, 9 years. And then you came out. And then what did you decide to do? What?
Well, Mel Farr, while I was still playing, approached me about my 5th year in the league, and he said, "Larry, man, you thinking about life after football?" And I said, "Mel, to be honest, not really."
I heard that.
And so Mel was the big leader of the Minority Dealers Association for Ford. So Mel put me in the program. I went through the dealer program. I worked at Mel Farr's dealership in all various entities, from the body shop to the front sales, and then Mel bought a store in Cincinnati, so I went down there and became like one of his managers there. And so I was Mel and I had the goal of getting a dealership together, and it never really panned out. So since then, I've done a few things. I owned a demolition company for a while that I was a tier 1 supplier to Ford, Chrysler,
really?
General Motors, and did that.
Extremely competitive to be tier 1.
Yeah.
We did, just as an aside,
Yeah.
I've done a lot of work with Reverend Jesse Jackson and Rainbow Push in the automotive industry, and I'm a founding member of the Automotive Bureau here. And one of our major goals was to get more African Americans as tier 1 suppliers. We're tier 2, tier 3, but tier 1 was, but we never got Dave Bing there.
Yeah.
He never got to tier 1.
I was a tier 1 supplier to Ford, obviously with, I had a lot of Ford connections through, the Ford family and Lions and, Mel Farr. So I did that for a while, but then when I took over as...
just as an aside, what were the parts that you were supplying? as a
Well,
tier one?
I was demolition. We were
Oh,
going in.
you were going to
Yeah, we
demolish
do-
everything for them.
demolishing
ground.
and cleaning up.
Clear up the
You know,
earth.
on their shutdowns, we go in and clean the plant from top to bottom. And
great.
A lot. And when we decommission plants, like when they closed down a plant, we went in and got
Took
it
all of
prepared
that
to
stuff out. Yeah.
you know, and that kind of thing. So I did that for a while, for a brief minute, but then Chuck Schmidt, the Lions general manager at the time, called me and said, "Hey, we got a new position in the NFL called player programs, Larry. We think you're the perfect guy to come be in our front office, but I want you to not only be the player programs director, I want you to be assistant pro personnel director. That means you keep up with, you scout the NFL."
I remember when you were doing that. You were talking about it on TV all the time. Every week.
So then I did that, and the Lions brought me in. That's how I got in the front office of the Lions. And after 3 years, Michael Hugh, who was the assistant GM, he left to become general manager of the Jaguars, Jacksonville Jaguars. And Bill Ford Jr. promoted me to vice president of the Lions. So that's when I did that for 9 years.
That was a happy day for all African Americans, because one of the things we did at Rainbow Push as well is through the athletics division was try to push for more African Americans in the front office. Jesse says we've gone from picking cotton to picking brown balls, footballs and basketballs, but we're not in the front office.
That's true.
And so we pushed really hard for that.
Yeah.
I remembered the meetings and so forth in Washington with the league.
Oh, yeah, Reverend
All
Jackson.
the leagues, right?
Yeah, I
NBA,
remember.
NFL, even NASCAR, all of that.
he
We
was,
did all of that.
He was very powerful in that movement, and then, you know, later when after the Lions let me go, when they hired Matt Millen, you know, Reverend Jackson came to me and said, "Hey, I'll go to bat for you."
That's
you know,
correct.
I don't think that was fair.
It wasn't.
And at the time, I had to make a split decision, and you know, the decision was if you kind of go against it, you probably will never get back in, kind of thing. So if I'd have known I never was going to get back in, I probably should have, should have fought a battle, but I didn't, and so that's when the NFL hasn't been so fair to minorities in front office positions. It's getting better, but it's still a long way to go compared to being, 74%, I think, on the playing field.
Absolutely.
And so they got a long way to go on that. So when I did not get that second job, I said, with my credentials, I should be, with another team shortly
general
or
manager,
something.
right?
Years went by, never did. That's when I did the other opportunities with the demolition. But one of the things growing up in Dayton, Ohio, if you know the roots of Dayton, Ohio's big funk music town.
Oh.
Ohio players.
Now Detroit has always laid claim to that title.
Well, Detroit, Dayton has always been like a little brother to Detroit.
Okay.
Because you have Motown and all the artists up here. But in Dayton, people don't realize the great music history of Dayton, Ohio. Ohio players, Lakeside.
Okay. Oh, Lakeside's great.
Slave, Roger Troutman and Zapp, More Bounce to That. All those hits came out of Dayton, Ohio.
Okay.
And all of us kids, kind of grew up, no matter what you did or what you wanted to do in life, you played an instrument. So I started doing two things in 6th grade, football and the bass guitar.
Okay.
I'm 63 years old, and those two things have made a great life for me.
Oh, the bass guitar. You can walk that bass?
Oh,
you can walk it, my brother. Put the bottom in it?
I'll put that bottom in it.
Oh, sicky.
I don't know if I can say we put that booty in it.
Okay, all right now. That'll work.
Yeah.
So you've been a musician since you were in the 6th grade.
Yes,
Your school had music?
We had two phenomenal music teachers in Dayton, Ohio. One guy named Donald Sutton, who was my teacher. He taught most of those groups that I mentioned. Most of those musicians came from either Mr. Spencer or Mr. Sutton in Dayton, Ohio. And in junior high, I started playing the tuba. He made me play the tuba and all that. So music was big in Dayton, Ohio in the 70s when Ohio players had just made it with a hit record. And now, we all wanted to be like the Ohio players. And to this day on my shows, I give tribute to the Ohio players every show. And all the groups out of Dayton, but especially Ohio players who kind of started it all.
They're an amazing group. All those groups that you spoke about, I'm familiar with. The whole country is familiar with.
Yeah.
And all their music is still played all the time.
Still
All Lakeside, everybody.
Fantastic Voyage,
Right.
you know, more
right.
bounce
You
to the
get to
ounce.
move. The minute you hear the doom, the doop, the doop.
I think more bounce to the ounce is just one of the funkiest songs ever made. You know, yeah.
And you do a beautiful job when you're playing
Thank
it too.
you. I try to do it right.
You represent.
I try to do it right. You know,
you represent Dayton, the other D, very, very well, as well as what I call the big D. I tell people, my friends in Dallas, that Dallas is the little D.
So we're the smaller D. We're the lowercase D.
Yeah, we're the big D. Detroit's the big D. Everybody else, I'm saying, every other D is a smaller D.
So Dayton's the smaller case. You know, we'll be back in this area on the 27th, Recovery Park. We got a concert here.
Okay.
On Sunday the 27th.
What time?
3 to 7.
All right, and it's open. Is it free?
It's open. I think you can get tickets on Eventbrite. I think it's like $10 or something like that. But yeah, you've had a nice. There is a nice concert series going on here at Recovery Park. So I'm looking forward to it. We were here 2 weeks ago, but we got rained out. It was when those storms came through, and so we got rained out. So we moved the date to the 27th.
We can't have you out there with electricity with rain. No, that doesn't work very well.
Water and electricity.
You're a big fella, but I don't know if you can handle that current.
That doesn't mix. No. Doesn't mix.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Chop It Up with attorney Linda Bernard on WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. You can watch us, listen to us, and subscribe to us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, every social media platform. My guest today, if you haven't already recognized that voice, I know that everyone in Michigan recognizes that voice, that my guest is the distinguished legend. He's Legends community. He's the legend, Mr. Larry Lee from the Detroit Lions football field, the Detroit Lions front office, and also, as he said earlier, his other avocation is music, and he is the leader and founder of Back in the Day, a group that's global, that can go anywhere in the world, and it is bad. He brings, as he says, the Dayton funk.
The Dayton funk. I gotta represent.
All right now. What's your thought about? You know, there's been a lot of hype about the Lions this year. What's your thought about them? All the season tickets are sold out. They
are definitely moving in the right direction. One of the things I did right before I took my recent job in the XFL, which I know you're probably going to talk about.
I'm getting ready to talk about that. Yeah.
I was one of the executives at Fritz Pollard Alliance. It's the group that aids the NFL on minority hiring and everything. And we tutored Brad Holmes and got to know Brad Holmes very well through that program. Brad Holmes is one bright young man.
Who is Brad Holmes?
He's the general manager of the Lions, African American. Yeah. And so Brad is doing a magnificent job out there, and he's getting the kind of guys he likes, and it looks like he and Coach Campbell are on the same page with their philosophies and thoughts, and the Lions, quiet as it's kept, they are well diverse. They got Ray Agnew, who is the assistant general manager out there.
Black man,
and then several former players on Coach Campbell's staff, and I love the way that the Lions are moving right now.
You like the synergy?
I like the synergy, and I got to give kudos to Sheila Ford Hamp. She's involved and on top of things, and so. I love the movement that's going on with the Lions. Now I think the next step is to consistently learn how to win, and just take the next step of being, they've won a few games. Now you take it to the next level and know how to win regularly.
But how do you do that? That's more than a mouthful.
It's a mindset. It's a mindset.
Is it what Brady had?
It's a camaraderie. It's I don't know if you can define it. Just put your thumb on it. It's chemistry.
Okay.
I'll say chemistry. And when they find the right chemistry, it looks like Golf is playing well. And
yes, he is.
They got
because he was out.
Yeah, they got a nice receiving core. The receiving core might be one of the top in the league. they found some hidden gems in the D line, like my man, I can't think of his name, but a young man from the HBCU that came on last year and got some sacks. I love the direction they're going. I tell you, I'm a Brad Holmes fan. I am.
Well, I'm going to be looking for him. I've seen him before. Brown skin brother, sort of thin, not a big way, up and down. Yeah. He's always busy. I mean, he's moving all the time. He's a constant motion.
Brad Holmes fan. Yes,
all right, well, I'm going to shout out to Brad Holmes.
Brad Holmes.
You got two fans now. A new one and one that knows you well and who helped tutor you, obviously, getting into the league.
Yes.
Okay, so you think that the Lions are going to do what? So do you think they're going to make the playoffs this year?
I do.
That's your prediction number one.
I do. Well, I give them a 9-7, maybe a 10th game in there. I got to remember there's an extra game in the NFL now, but 9-8. You know, they'll win more than they lose, and I think because this division is. Kind of equal now that Aaron Rodgers is out of it and gone to New York. I think this division is winnable now, and the Bears are, got the young man at quarterback up there and everything. Bears and Green Bay. So Lions,
well,
why not
Aaron
the Lions?
Rodgers. I thought it was dirty how it was okay for him to go. Got that part.
Yeah.
A lot of money. It was on the okay. Go get it. But when he gutted the team. Took the players that he liked, and the Jets already had a good team. They had good receivers. They had a good team. They just didn't have the right quarterback.
Right.
But to do that, I thought was really
Well, Linda, that's the nature of the beast. That's that's free agency at its best. And when free agency.
But they had long-term contract. Here's the guy from Aaron Rodgers' team. I can't remember his name now.
He went to the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, but he just gutted the team, and he took a lot of people with him to the Jets, which pissed off the Jets, who were already there, who could play well already. You know.
Well, now you're getting into
the
front office.
He got the flavor of the month.
Now you're getting into the front office competitiveness. You want to.
I don't understand.
You got to field a team, right? So. Free agency allows you back in my day, we didn't have the liberty of trying to switch teams at the end of our contract. They held our rights, and we could not go to another team. Nowadays,
slavery was then. Slavery is over. Is what you said. Hadn't you been emancipated?
Nowadays, these guys have free agency. They get to shop their wares when their contracts are up, and some of them, just like the NBA, LeBron plotting to get Kyrie with him and other. It's the same thing. That's pro sports nowadays. Same thing. I think football's still light years behind basketball, but it's easier to do in basketball.
It doesn't seem to be because of the compensation that the teams are making now.
Yeah.
Mahomes and Hurts.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I mean, the amount of money that they make and is amazing.
Well, that's part of the. The Tom Brady mystique is, Tom could have earned a lot more money during his day, but he elected to not take all of the money so they could put other players around him. So that's the dilemma of that star quarterback is, how much money do I have to have? How much do I want to have? Do I want to take all the money because I can get it, or do I want to, be paid
Do I want to win? It's a team sport.
And get some other guys around me. You're right. It's a team sport. I use this
I say this all the time when in leadership training and stuff like that. I said it doesn't matter how bad you are as a quarterback. You could throw the ball, I say, to Canada, from right here all the way to Canada, but you'll never get your arm up without a good front line. It's just that simple.
Well,
it is the team. It is not, your talent is great. That arm is going to be right at this side because you're going to be smushed without the front line.
Right. I agree. Well, I played offensive line, so
I know that's
agree
my
with
point.
You 1,000%.
Right.
So but the quarterback is the glory position.
Yes, it is.
They've always, gotten paid and always been the guy that and if you got a good one. He's worth his weight in gold, because he can take it to, Tom Brady's the best example.
7 Super Bowls. That's a bad mamma jamma. I almost wore his shirt today. I said, nah, I got to wear the Lions shirt.
I try my best not to like Tom Brady, but I can't. He's the GOAT.
Yeah, he is.
He's
I like
GOAT.
him too. I like him.
Yeah.
I like him a lot.
Yeah.
So So you're very optimistic about the Lions this year.
Yes.
Any players in particular you want to give a shout out to?
Well, once again, I like the receivers. I think they got some great receivers, and my man that they drafted last year, #1 pick from Alabama. I think once healthy and he serves this little quick suspension, I think he'll be there. He's going to add a nice dimension to them. But I got to show love to Taylor Decker and Glasgow, the two offensive linemen that are their star players. Taylor Decker's from my neck of the woods. He's from Vandalia, Ohio, which is a suburb of Dayton. So got to show love to the big fella. He went to Ohio State. I didn't, but
Good.
yeah.
Okay.
But no, I
love
like,
Ohio State though.
Yeah, do you?
Because of
You-
the way
you
they
say that
treated
out
their black
loud around
athletes.
here?
I do. I say it. I went to the Michigan Ohio State game dressed in all red.
Did you?
On my mother and my father. I sure did. I was so mad at them because I didn't like Harborough. I did not. I intensely disliked him. And I
Yeah.
thought he got breaks and chances that a black man would never have gotten. For 10 years of losing,
Yeah.
$15 million a year, not including his plane, his house, all that. I just thought it was outrageous
Yeah.
that they would never have done that for a black man.
Yeah, there's a lot of discrepancies still.
Right.
We got a long way to go still, and that's what the I like about the XFL. I know.
All righty, dighty. We
Yeah,
got more
nice-
football.
nice segue. Nice
I go into
segue.
mourning after the Super Bowl. Oh, speaking of that, I want to talk to you afterwards because I really want to go. I've been like 17 of them, but this year I really want to go because it's in Vegas. So I
Okay.
just got to get a good price on a ticket. That's
Yeah, all right.
That's what I need.
Okay.
But no, I love football. But before we get to the XFL, my favorite player, and I have all of his gear, is the big fella in the Ravens, Lamar Jackson.
Oh, Lamar, yeah, well.
Now that's my main man.
Well, he's
forever.
one of those guys that just got paid.
I'm finally about damn time. They tried to kill him out there before they paid him.
He just got paid. Yep. So which is good. I'm all for guys getting paid. Seems like there's enough to go around. There's a whole lot of money being passed out
Apparently,
these days.
we didn't even know about it right till now. What is
Yeah.
it? Jesse Jackson says you didn't know how good baseball could be till Jackie Robinson could play.
Yeah.
We didn't know how good football could be till black folks could be quarterback.
Yeah. Now, look at it. So once again, back to our segue. That's what I love about the XFL. If you look at the XFL, the league that I'm a part of now, we have.
How did it start? Just start at the beginning. Educate
Well, I
me
think
and our listeners.
It
Watch
was
this.
a league started by Vince McMahon a few years ago, and it was kind of like a ancillary.
The
kind
quarterback, Vince McMahon.
No, the big time wrestling WWE
yeah.
guy, McMahon, and
Okay.
it was kind of like It started off a little different, like a fun kind of thing, but that went. If I got it correct, that went bankrupt, and so Dwayne Johnson.
Trump was involved in that too. I think he was one of the investors, right?
Yeah, and Dwayne
Smart.
Johnson, The Rock, and
Yep.
Danny Garcia, and Redbird Capital purchased it from bankruptcy, and made it a full-fledged professional football league. It's on par with any other league. Actually, we're very close to the NFL. So we're this past our season just ended.
Yep.
A little bit a while ago. Now there's the USFL, but we're the XFL.
Okay.
We're the XFL that we play from February to May, and it's perfect timing for our players because when our season's over, they're in shape, they've played, and now they can go straight to NFL training camps. And if I got my numbers correctly, over 100 guys had the opportunity to go to NFL camps, and I think we got about almost 40 that are actually signed in the NFL. So it's
So like if you don't make the cut the first time to the NFL, then this gives you that opportunity.
this gives you this is a opportunity to show you where it's a league of opportunities, actually what we call it, because there's opportunity everywhere for minorities. It's a minority actually driven league. It's opportunity for guys like myself who have experience but didn't get that other job in the NFL now, and I'm an executive. It's an opportunity league for first-time head coaches like my guy, Terrell Buckley, longtime NFL player, who's now a head coach. You also have Hines Ward, the former Steeler. He's a head coach. And then you got old veterans like Wade Phillips. Wade Phillips is the coach of the Houston team. And I'm proud to say also that my daughter is his right-hand man or right-hand woman as the team operations director there in Houston. So my youngest daughter is climbing the ranks of the NFL or football, pro football. She was at the NFL league office for a while, and she was at ESPN, and now she's one of the top executives in the XFL.
Well, see, I can understand that because, see, I was a daddy's girl. My father was my alpha and my omega. There's no question about it. And we talk about mamas if you want to, but there's nothing like your daddy. Your daddy
Nothing
is
like
your
daddy
everything, right?
And you know what? I know a little bit more about your family than you think I know.
Oh.
I know about Arkansas.
Oh, my sister.
El Dorado, Arkansas. El Dorado, right? Or El Dorado.
Helena and El Dorado and all the rest of them.
Well,
Right?
my saxophone player in my band is 80 years old, but he doesn't act it, don't look it, and nowhere near it. He's from Helena and knows your family very well.
He knows my sister then.
James
right.
Cheney.
Okay, well, the next time I'm bringing Sharon the next time you're playing, and I'll make sure she's there.
Absolutely.
I will definitely do that.
He knew your dad and the whole nine.
Yeah, Daddy was special.
Yeah.
But your daughter is following in your footsteps.
Yes.
And I love it. You know who else is doing this? I want to talk about the XFL because that's important to me. I want to understand it more, how many teams and stuff. But did you know how tall, we were just talking about Shaq a few minutes ago. He has 6 kids, I think.
Yeah.
Right. But you know the only person that got his height and athletic ability is his daughter. She's 6'4", and she can ball from what I understand. But her father, is so proud of her. It's just like LeBron. LeBron's sons are short. They're not that big like him. He is. They'd have to have exceptional talent to be in the league, to really be in the league and be competitive.
Well, my daughter, she grew up obviously around it. When I was at the Lions, it was nothing for Barry Sanders and Benny Blades and Herman Moore and those guys to play with my kids, my 2 daughters. And
they play football.
Yes.
I played football. I played running back, though.
And my youngest daughter, Danielle, who we're talking about, she just took to it like a fish to water. I showed her how to scout. I showed her, how to chart quarterbacks. I showed her how to negotiate contracts. When I was negotiating player contracts, I'd have her listening and show her the salary cap and why I made the offers I made, and here's how you calculate the salary cap. And she took to it like a fish to water. And when she interviewed for the job at the NFL NFL office in New York, Ken Fiore, one of their executives, called me. I stayed out of the picture, let her try to earn it herself. He called me and said, Larry, man, he said, I interviewed 4 guys and your daughter. Your daughter blew them out of the water.
Woohoo!
He
Girl
said,
power.
He said, I had to hire her. So
Good.
he did, and she did 6 years at the league office, and then she didn't think she was advancing or didn't see the progress like she should. And her sister, my oldest daughter, who was diversity manager at Disney, got her a job at ESPN because ESPN owns Disney, and she was the operations manager for the NBA for ESPN. So she did that for like 3 or 4 years. But this XFL, a League of Opportunity, came along, and I told Mark Ross about her. And Mark jumped all over, and now she's team operations for Wade Phillips and the Houston team Roughnecks.
I am so happy for her. What's your name, Tara? You said
No, Danielle.
Danielle is
Danielle Lee.
Danielle Lee.
And my oldest is
I'd like
Dana.
to talk to her when she comes to town.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've not had anyone that's a female that's involved with any of the leagues as a guest. I'd be delighted to interview her.
Yeah, she
But it's in her blood.
She'll be here eventually, but she just actually moved to Texas, so she's a Texan right now. So
And all that damn heat.
oh,
They can have it.
I was there last week for league meetings.
I remember you had to go to town.
Ooh, it was hot down there.
I know.
It works out perfect for me because When it gets cold here, I'm going to Texas.
That makes sense.
When it gets hot there, I'm back up here.
All right. There's no way. There's no way I could stay there 100 days or 40 days at 110. Who does this? The only thing that lives in a desert, I tell people this who moved to Vegas. Only thing that lives in a desert is a cactus and a snake. I'm not either of those things, so therefore I don't want to live there. I can visit, like you said, but I don't want to live there. No circumstance. Put up my whole livelihood, my health. You know, we'd be dead in a week if that dam breaks.
You know, as I get older, I guess my blood's thinning out, and I'm not as warm-blooded as I was. But back in the day, I guess when I had a little extra weight on, I would sweat. So, my nickname with all the players is Big Sweet, but my family would call me Big Sweat. Yeah.
Oh boy, I know it had to be phenomenal. Okay, tell me about the X. How many teams are there, so we'll know what we're talking about?
There are 8 teams.
18. What cities?
Let's see. You got Orlando. You have D.C. You have St. Louis. You have Arlington, Texas. You have San Antonio, Texas. You have Houston, Texas. You have Las Vegas and Seattle.
Las Vegas and Seattle. Okie dokie. So Detroit does not have a team.
No, there's not a team.
We're in the USFL. What are
the
we
USFL does.
We have a Detroit team in the
Michigan
USFL.
Panthers. Remember?
I remember they won. That's why I thought it was you, right?
Back in the day, yeah. No, we're the XFL, and those are 8 cities, and we got a lot of NFL influence in our league. Like I said, legends like Wade Phillips, is the coach of the Houston team. Terrell Buckley, my head coach, is 14 years NFL veteran, Super Bowl champion.
But you have a Super Bowl ring. When you lose, you get a ring too, because that meant you the head of your division. You're just not wearing it. Where's your ice baby?
No, I do have an AFC championship.
Right. You get the ring when you play in that Super Bowl.
When I played the Broncos, we lost to the Redskins. Remember the great game Doug Williams beat us up on? I tease Doug to this day, man. I'm happy for him. But I hate that it had to be us.
He whipped that ass to the rope like whoa in the Super Bowl. I was so proud. I was jumping up and down.
Doug tore us up.
Oh boy, they just knew he couldn't do it.
Right.
And I hope he's been able to capitalize on it in a major way. I don't think he was at Grambling and all that stuff.
Yeah, he's assistant to the president of the Commanders, Washington Commanders.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, and who has
with $8 billion, as Jesse Jackson say, right now dollars, my brother. That's a hell of a team.
Yeah,
$8 billion.
Well, he's the assistant, but there's a brother. What's his name? Brother Wright. I can't think of his first name. He's the president and CEO of the Commanders.
Okay.
So the
That's
Commanders, yes.
That's how Magic was involved, but he's as an
Magic's
investor.
One of the new investor owners.
Yeah,
But his last name is Wright. I can't think of his first name right now, but he is the president and CEO of the Washington team.
They did better than I thought they would do. Actually, the Commanders did. I was surprised.
Martin Mayhew's over there now. He's the general manager. He's over there, and then my good buddy Ron Rivera is the head coach, and they got a good. And, Eric Bieniemy's over there now.
Okay.
He left Kansas City and went there, so they got a nice nucleus going.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's the Commanders. They're right up the street from my Ravens. So.
Yeah. You and your Ravens.
I am. But I want to ask you one question about that real quickly. I understood that the reason they didn't want to give Lamar Jackson a better contract, and this breaks my heart, I thought it was true too, it's because he couldn't read and write. And for that coach, for anybody in the organization, not to have him tutored off Susan, because it's not that hard to learn how to read and write. I mean, when you think about it. I mean, he's one of those people that's like a savant. Like you play baseball, a bass guitar. Some people can listen to you and then do it.
Yeah.
They can't read music, but they're gifted.
Yeah.
They're a savant. They can do it exactly the way you did it, just hearing it.
Yeah.
But they can't read it. Like in the movie, Nick Cannon was in Drum Beat or Drum, whatever.
Yeah.
But he couldn't read. Because he could tell too, because he can't speak that well. He doesn't know English.
I hadn't heard any of that.
I had. And it's the reason he doesn't have any endorsements either.
You know,
Because,
I know they might.
But you're a black man. I need black men to stand up for black men and make sure they get what they need. That they have certain gifts God has given them, and then we know how to help them build the others. I know how. You know how. Because you did it in school for yourself. You had both skill sets. Yeah. Not only high intellect, but you have to have to play football. The people are stupid. There's no such thing as a stupid football player. That's dumb. That's DUM dumb. You're stupid if you think that. But an education is separate from talent and being smart, being intuitive about what it is you do.
Yeah, like I said, I hadn't heard that about him. You know, if there was anything, he's probably too ethnic. You know, when I say ethnic, you know, with the braids and the hair and so. We've come a long way, but there's still.
Well, nobody more ethnic than Michael Vick. As my sister says, he had the do rag, you know, with the do rag with the tail down the back, and then here comes the NFL with the official do rag with the cap that keeps her hair down with the NFL symbol, because they weren't gonna have that Negro out there with that do rag with that scarf hanging. It was hanging down his back out from underneath the.
Well, see, that's one of the things I think is the difference between the NBA and the NFL. I think the NBA is very much, not very, but much more in tune with their players than the NFL.
With the current culture.
With their current culture.
From the tattoos.
And all that. The NFL is kind of old school.
It's an all-white male-dominated organization.
It's getting better, much better, but I still think they're behind the NBA. The NBA, I think, gets it. They're more in tune. I guess they had to be back when Magic and Kareem and Michael Jordan kind of saved the league. You know, Larry Bird in that era saved the league. You
Black
know,
versus white, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, the NFL's coming. It's coming. It's coming. We've been saying that for a while. But
well, let me say this to you. I didn't like the head of your league until his name is Jamar Hamlin. Had the heart attack, and what the league did impressed me greatly. One, they didn't go back and play football on the same field where a man had just died and brought back to life. That impressed me, and they just erased it. The game, there was no winner, no loser, they didn't, you know. And the team, the men were so impressive. I mean, you're a man. I mean, when you get on your knees and pray and cry, it's something. Because you can't many things make you pray or cry.
Right.
Let's face it.
I can tell you this.
Tell me.
Having been in meetings with Roger Goodell and knowing him firsthand, he cares.
I believe that.
His heart is in the right
with
place.
Black people. He cares about us. Yeah. I got that
he cares. He cares. I think he's in a tough spot a little bit because he might not be able to exercise his care as much as he wants to.
Because of the owners.
Because owners and they are paying him handsomely and all that stuff. But I'm telling you, I've had personal conversations with Roger. I've been in meetings with him. He cares. He really does.
Are there any black owners well, now watch, I guess the Commanders with Magic, but are there any other black owners in the league or in your league in the XFL?
Well, the recent purchase of the Broncos, they had the Walmart family.
Waltons.
Owns them, but two minority owners is Melanie Hobson.
Who is she?
The Star Wars director's wife.
Okay.
What's his name?
Oh yeah, him, the little guy. He's richer than everybody. He's a multi-billionaire.
Yeah. His wife, Melanie Hobson, is one of the owners, and Condoleezza Rice.
Condoleezza Rice?
Yeah, she's one of the owners of the Broncos.
Wonder where she got all that money from.
So she's, they have minority participation. Yeah. So
I fronted for you.
What was it, the Walton family?
Yeah, the Walton family.
Walmart,
yeah, Walmart.
So
Arkansas.
So they're the newest owners between Magic and Condoleezza and Melanie Hobson. So we're making progress. I think I'm hearing Jay-Z is probably going to try to get involved somewhere with a team.
Money is so steep now.
Yeah. Well, the NFL, you can't just decide you think you want them by an NFL team.
No, you got to be approved by all the owners. Isn't it unanimous? Requires unanimous approval?
I think unanimous approval, but they got it so where I think your reserves has to be or you got to be liquid, unbelievably, and heck, the Commanders just went for $8 billion.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I don't know where that kind of money came from.
Or was it $6 billion? One of them.
It was 8.
Was it 8?
$8 billion.
Okay. Yeah. So that's a lot of money.
That's a heck of a lot of money.
A lot of money.
And Ford's just been sitting on the Lions for 100 years, just watching the index go up for an NFL team.
I'd be interested to hear what the Lions what their value is.
But we don't pay our players like other people. Nobody out there is getting.
That used to be the adage. That's not true anymore. They have to pay the players. I mean, they have to pay the players because it's a salary cap. Each team has a certain amount of money. Okay. And you can go out, like for instance, me and I don't know. I'm trying to think of another big fellow. We got the same amount of money to go out and get a wardrobe. I may go buy a whole bunch of jeans and T-shirts. They may go buy some silk suits. But we both got the same amount of money to go win this fashion show. So that's a weird.
Do they give you money for clothes? No, they don't do that.
No, that might not have been a good
like the refrigerator repair or something.
But every team has the same amount of money to spend on their team, right? So it just depends on how the team goes. Now, if you can fault a team, you can fault a team for not spending all their money in one particular season or overspending their money, but each team has the same amount of money to purchase.
How can they overspend then?
How can they overspend?
How do you play Mahomes $500 million? Jesse Jackson say right now dollars.
Digging in the future money, and they push it into future years, but then NFL contracts are not what they seem. You got to look there. There's a breaking point from reality to infinity. In other words,
I like that.
So you might see that. I'm trying to break this down quickly, simply, but you might see that a guy signs a 10-year contract for $500 million. Okay.
Mahomes.
Yeah. So, but the only years that are important are the first. Depends on what the league average is for all these other guys. Mm-hmm. The first 3 or 4 years, because after 3 or 4 years, someone's going to look to renegotiate. If you're a great player, you're going to look to come to us to keep this contract intact, alive, because
like Ezekiel Elliott.
We paid you for right. Yeah. But if you aren't living up to your play on the field, the team's going to come to you and ask you to take a reduction. Okay. So those contracts.
So you've done that to players yourself.
Yes. You go to them and say, "Hey, man," and the only thing that counts on the contract, the only thing that counts is the important years. The rest of that is what we call blue sky. That's done for the agent. So the agent can go out and boast, and I got my guy the highest contract ever.
Well, he can't get but 3% anyway, as
True,
you know.
But he's not going to see those last 4, 5 or 6 years because they're going to renegotiate. Somebody's going to renegotiate. And that's just blue sky. Those numbers will be blown out to say whatever what the agent wants them to say. So he can go out and brag and say, I got my guy the highest paid contract for a running back ever. Uh-huh. But you got to look at the first 3 or 4 years of the contract. That'll determine where he really ranks financially.
Well, running backs have the least longevity because
their legs. That might not be a good example. Running backs, so there's not
their legs.
They're all complaining right now because they're not getting. They're not.
The wide that's going to the wide. The ball's going in the air again.
Well, no, the money is going to the quarterbacks and
the wide receivers.
The wide receivers and the defensive ends that get the sacks. And all them, and the running backs getting left out.
They're getting punished too.
You're starting to see a few running backs complain about. And, it looks as if, and the way the game is going now with all the passing and everything, the running back is not important as he used to be.
But that ground game works. When you got to move.
When
What
you
is
got-
it they said in that movie? Football is a game of inches.
Inches.
And
Yeah.
that's where you come in. You push hard. I
That's
got that
right.
12 inches.
That's
I got
right.
another. I got just keep moving the chains.
That's right. That's
But,
right.
but Larry Lee, from back in the day, from the Detroit Lions, from the XFL, I can't tell you what a pleasure it has been for me to see you
same
today
here,
and
man.
interview you today.
Thank you for having me on.
You are special.
Ah,
Ladies and gentlemen, he's a special man, special father, special human being, special football player, and special business person. His brain is working all the time. It's just amazing. And a phenomenal musician. So be sure to book back in the day. You could find it online. Yeah. I guess back in the day.
LarryLeeBand.com.
Oh, LarryLeeBand.com. Larry Lee and he goes all over the country. He can join you on your yacht, whatever you like.
Absolutely.
So I want to thank you again. You look fabulous, fun. I mean, just wonderful. I can't believe it.
Thank you, man. Same to you.
I mean, you've made my day, my week. Thank you so much.
Got a show to go do. Go set up for now.
At the DIA?
Yes,
the
ma'am.
Detroit